talk to you today about some really important new changes in ufology. It's time we shifted the paradigm. And I'm talking about disclosure from the ground up, because if we wait for governments, we could be waiting till we're all old and grey. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to give you, as I always do, some really hard science to begin with. And if you don't fall asleep, I'll then actually take you down the rabbit hole. So we're going to start off with the awakening of humanity, disclosure from the ground up. And I hope that you're going to find some of it of interest. Now, the reason that I'm showing you this lovely clip was a beautiful young man in Queensland put it together. And I just think it's cool. So bear with me, because you'll see what I'm actually going to be discussing, because it's not just about my organisation anymore. It's about a new organisation that's going to take this to another level. CERN, as you know, has been my organisation. But we're taking it now to another one. And this is the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. And the reason that this is different is we're looking at this whole phenomena in as far as I'm concerned anyway, in balance. And as I introduce free to you, I also want to introduce why it's so important. The Foundation believes the evidence for the reality of extraterrestrial encounters is supported scientifically through the quantum hologram theory of physics, and also linked to non-ordinary states of consciousness, because I've already spoken to some of you in the audience, and you've told me about your experiences, and we know that there's a lot more going on than sighting a UFO or perhaps being taken up onto a craft. So the fascinating thing with FREE is this. It's a comprehensive, multidisciplinary academics research project into the whole phenomena, both academic and scientific, with experiencer support. And it focuses on encounter experiences, however they may be understood by the experiencer. So what I'm saying with that is, whether you experience it through a near-death experience, out-of-body experience, shamanic experience, or you think you're a walk-in, or you believe you are a hybrid, really all of that is inclusive in the form of contact. We have theoretical physicists, medical doctors, attorneys, psychologists, geneticists, academics, registered nurses, experiencers of all ages and all cultures. And many of you will know Dr. Edgar Mitchell. He has already founded the Institute of Noetic Sciences as the sixth man to walk on the moon. He also has been studying for 40 years into consciousness itself. And Dr. Rudy Shield is a research astronomer at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, researching dark matter. He also worked with psychiatrist Dr. John Mack into the UFO phenomena. And it's research into the coherent understanding of the nature of space-time in the universe. So as you can see, we're already bringing in what I call the big guns, because the only way we're going to bridge the gap between the old paradigm and the new is to actually bring in those that are considered credentials by the old paradigm. And so this is what we're doing. Dr. Klimo is a retired professor over 40 years in transpersonal psychology and parapsychology. Dr. Leo Sprinkle, many of you will know, has worked with psychology for over another 40-odd years, writing on the UFO phenomena. Dr. Bob Davis is a professor for over 30 years at the State University of Audiology, Neuroscience and Electrophysiology, and has recently published a book on UFO phenomena. And then you've got Dr. Michael Melton, who's a psychologist, who's also worked in this field for many years, plus a number like myself, like Kathleen Marden, Giorgio Pienza, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, all, have worked in this field. What we're hoping to do now is actually bring a whole new way of researching this phenomena. We're not only having peer support, licensed therapists working with regressions, but resources to other networks. And this is the kinds of things that we will bring into our understanding of the abduction, whether you call it contact, whether you call it contactee, whether you call it an experiencer, spirit communication, scientific remote viewing, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, and shamanic experiences, because many of those that have had a shamanic experience see ETs also. What I'm giving you is a very limited, if you like, understanding so far of our statistics. We've already done a survey in part 1, and I can't give you the percentages because they will be available in December. But a high percentage who saw UFOs, had telepathic communications and information on new technologies. A high number experienced out-of-body experiences, developed a decrease in materialistic values. Most described ETs as positive. That was our very first survey. Since then, we've done another in-depth one, and this is those in phase 2 of the survey. They've experienced near-death experiences, medical healing from ETs. High percentage had ET contact but no abduction. High number had connection between ETs and the spirit world, both pre-birth and post-death. And when I say pre-birth, this means that many have come to me and said before they came here, as a spirit, they were aware of where they're going to incarnate in their parents and actually be aware that this was what they were going to do. And they would even recall what it was like in their parents' home before they actually became fully into the human body. Over a third found ETs appeared playful with emotions, and also a high percentage communications with an ET. We've got to really start taking this to the other level. So the quantum hologram nature of consciousness and space-time reality. Dr. Rudy Shield, a wonderful gentleman who I met in Newport in 2010, actually, as part of FREE, is bringing the physicist side. So if someone has downloading of any kind of physics or new energy, we now have physicists to look at that material. In a CERN, I never had that. So it is really amazing now that I've got those that actually will look at this material. And this is how he approaches it. My approach is to develop an academically acceptable theoretical basis to bring these phenomena into the academic community. The quantum hologram treatment of the nature of consciousness and space-time reality offers an acceptable approach. This approach is pioneered by scientist astronaut Dr. Edgar Mitchell, and he is working with him with FREE to develop an academically acceptable theoretical development of this whole quantum hologram. So, what is he saying here? Today we live in an exciting world where advances in space exploration and astrophysics are matched by the wonder of UFO sightings and abductions, and deeper human inner space phenomena. But because of the ethereal nature of the data, these developments are not studied by our prestigious university communities, largely because of their nature. We perceive a need to extend this approach to a larger statistical base with rigorous statistical techniques to expand the discussion and provide database available to the academic community. So this is where we are going. We are going to bring in a new model. We have to. You know that we have to, or you wouldn't be here. So extraterrestrial contact, it's literally physically happening. Many of you will be aware of Dr. John Max, sadly, who was killed when he was crossing the road in London several years ago now. This is what he said. It's literally physically happening to a degree and is also some kind of psychological, spiritual experience occurring and originating in another dimension. The phenomena stretches us, or it asks us to open to realities that are not simply the literal physical world, but to extend the possibility that there are other unseen realities from which our consciousness, our, if you will, learning processes over the past several hundred years have closed us off. And we all know that indigenous societies have no problem with this. It's just Western society. So the encounter experience is reanimating our senses, a new psychological model. What we seem to have no place for and lost is the place for this phenomena, and it can begin in the unseen realm and cross over and manifest and show up in our literal physical world, whereby we might know the spirit world, which has made the alien phenomena so hard to believe. So, broadening the mandate, and this is really where we're taking ufology to a whole new level. Up to date, much has been focused, understandably so, in quantifying this reality. Photographs, video spacecraft, sightings by credible witnesses, implanted objects, marks and scars which fluoresce under black ultraviolet light, whistleblower testimony, military and political disclosure, missing time episodes, magnetic changes in soil after craft have landed, multiple witnesses, conscious recall, and the DNA, obvious to me, the most obvious of all. Extraterrestrial manipulation, physical and non-physical, as a holographic nature of DNA. And I'm going to go into the science first. So I hope that those that enjoy the science will enjoy this, but I do promise you that it will go down a rabbit hole further down the presentation. So what now we're looking at is everything we find much harder to quantify. And that's out-of-body experiences, astral travelling, near-death experiences, time distortions, missing time, healing during encounters, and those who have discovered healing abilities, altered and enhanced senses, information, knowledge, downloads such as advanced physics, heightened multidimensional senses such as telepathy and clairvoyance, past life recall both on Earth and other planets, telekinesis, moving objects with the mind. I'm going to show you a demonstration of that. Transformative changes in perspective, and many have changed into holistic lifestyles after their encounters. Expressions of contact, scripts, star languages, shamanic experiences, and more about the multidimensional nature of DNA and how that is assisting us to understand the holographic nature of our universe. Dr. Francis Crick, co-founder of the DNA molecule, says this: the DNA molecule is the most efficient information storage system in the entire universe. The immensity of complex, coded, and precisely sequenced information is staggering. The DNA evidence speaks of intelligent, information-bearing design. And I think the key is here. DNA function like letters in a written language or symbols in a computer code. And this is the statement he says here. Look at what he's saying. They program the molecules so that when we reached a certain level of intelligence, we would be able to access their information, and they could therefore teach us about ourselves and how to progress. For life to form by chance is mathematically, virtually impossible. One of the very fascinating things I came across not so long ago. After 50 years of DNA research, it was turned upside down, the scientists say, because they discovered a second programming language within the human genetic code. And this is what they're saying. There is a hidden code or a second code which contains information which alters how scientists read instructions in the DNA and interpret mutations. They have discovered genomes use the genetic code to write two separate languages. One is written on the top of the other. These findings highlight that DNA is an incredibly powerful storage device. I wonder what else is written in the DNA code. We are a designed species, a whistleblower geneticist. Many of you are aware of Dr. Lloyd Pye and his book, The Intervention Theory, and the Star Child Skull. I'm sure a lot of you will know his wonderful work before he sadly died very recently. Lloyd allowed me to use this statement that's at the back of his book, and it's from a whistleblower geneticist. And this is what is being said. By certain methods of DNA dating, one can tell numerous genes have been recently added to the human genome. Reference 223 genes. If colleagues in my field were to say such things openly, we would be ostracized and forced to live in a tent. Any work along these lines would be rejected without any form of appeal. So what can we do?